right, you're welcome to the interview segment of Daybreak Nigeria on television Nigeria. My name is Anthony Momodu, and today we'll be looking at the issue that played out in River State, where the APC Secretariat was attacked, and also focusing on the Ekiti Goba crisis. And our guest for the discourse is another person, but Ango Ongo, who is a current affair analyst and also an activist. And just to add to the mix, he's also an entrepreneur. He will be helping us look at the situation. Good morning. Nice to have you join us on the Breakfast Show.
It's good to have me here.
All right, let's look at what's played out in River State, where some hoodlums were said to have attacked the Secretariat. First of all, what do you think that means? We've always known Rivers to be a very violent sport. But were you surprised at what's played out?
I was not really surprised following the antecedents of the players that are involved in the political landscape of Rivers State. The Transport Minister, Mr. Amici, and Senator Magnus Abbey.
Okay.
Over time, they've been at loggerheads of who is the APC leader in the state. So what played out during the state congresses wasn't really, didn't come to me as a surprise following their antecedents. But I want to really add that for them, they would have found a way of having to play it cool within themselves. And I mean, there should be internal democracy in any political party. They would have resolved some of their issues before those congresses to have averted the outcomes and the many issues that came out of it. Human lives was lost and very painfully. So I think internal democracy would have been practiced. They would have sat down to talk, before then.
Okay, does that give the other opposition political party, talking about the PDP, some edge as regards holding sway in Rivers State? For you, what do you think is the implication of what went on in Rivers?
The opposition, like for Rivers State.
Yes, for Rivers.
Particularly PDP is in power, as it were. And it gives them some leverage.
To continue,
because, another man's downfall is another man's lifting.
Right.
So, for them politicians, I think it will be good for them. They will feel that the internal crisis there, how can we take advantage of what is happening the crisis happening in our neighbors next door.
Okay.
So for them politicians, it will be a plus, but I think it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because Nigeria is ours. We should, whether you're in opposition or whether you're in power, we shouldn't play politics that results into crisis. Politics of rancor, politics of thuggery, it shouldn't be heard of us. I think democracy is still thriving, and nothing should be done to truncate our democracy. So it's a sad news. I don't think the opposition, the PDP as an opposition party in Nigeria as it is now, I don't think they're happy with it. And I think over there they've written praise statements condemning what happened in Rivers State. That is, it is uncalled for. It is not healthy for our democracy.
Do you really think that it is possible for the APC to put itself together and be a strong contender or take over power in Rivers State? Given what is happening right now.
Yes, they can do that. They can do that. I say that because if they can, as I've said before, if they can put themselves together, they are the government in power at the center. And the way democracy is still being practiced around here, a lot of powers are concentrated at the center. You know, and following that, the center weighs so much influence on what happens at the state level too.
Levels, yeah.
So if the APC can put themselves together, they can as well take over power. And I won't say that. I also like to say that if the PDP can also put themselves together, they can also take over power from the center.
All right, let's look at, would you say there's a role we can involve the INEC in what played out in Rivers State? And secondly, with what when transpired, can we now begin to get a better picture of Rotimi Amechi? Probably his way is not being peaceful. That's why we've always had him have issues with the governor of the state, especially the fact that he's also having issues with his own party member at that level. Does that make Amechi there's a question mark on him?
Yes. It, as I said before, what happened in Rivers State during the congresses,
The congresses,
congresses goes a long way to tell you the characters involved. And Mr. Rotimi Amechi is an arrowhead.
Okay.
Is an egghead of what transpired in Rivers State, last weekend. I will not go to cast aspersions on him.
Okay.
But
why would you do that? Because you feel he's untouchable, or
not that he's untouchable.
Okay.
But as I said before, we shouldn't do anything that will put the democracy we are practicing in danger.
So it's okay for the those involved, the major players, the political parties, the politicians to do things that are inimical to our democracy.
It is not.
The media and the analysts shouldn't say what is real. Is that what you're trying to say?
Okay, I'm not trying to be unreal here.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be unreal at all.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, Amechi has an antecedent. Mr. Rotimi Amechi has an antecedent of violence. And I beg to say that following his, several times he's clashed with the governor. I think there was a day they were on the convoy and their security operatives crashed. I think there was even a shootout.
Okay.
And several other times. And one other key player that has been very key in this crisis is the head of Federal SARS in Rivers State.
Okay. His picture was on national dailies yesterday.
Recently.
Okay.
And he has always been in the news for very bad reasons. He has not been in the news for very good reasons. And his relationship with Amechi, over time, people have been on the street. I know my friends, people like Mr. Deji Adeyanju and several other activists. Yeah. We've been on the street saying, "End SARS," because his activities have shown that lack of professionalism.
Can we say there's a conspiracy with the security agencies to foster this crisis in Rivers State? Because we know this Fodeke, the man in question, was transferred to, I think, Yobe or Gombe, one of those northern states, but was, reinstated back to the SARS office in Rivers. Does that not tell us that probably the presidency, the security network, and conspiring to get this man still plays some very active role in Rivers State? Because that's what the Rivers State government is claiming.
Yeah, the Rivers State government is claiming, and I think rightly too.
Okay.
They've been on the street to agitate that man should be removed. There have been cases of extrajudicial killings by the Federal SARS in Rivers State. There have been cases of extortion. Some young persons have said, these people caught me, took me to the ATM, I took money. Yes, there have been instances like that. And there have been a lot of agitations. So, but why, Mr. Fadati, the SARS boss in Rivers State is still in Rivers State, I don't know.
But is it possible he would have been transferred and re-transferred back to Rivers without the concept and approval of the Inspector General of Police?
I don't think so. I don't think so. So, I would not like to use the word conspiracy.
Okay, which term do you prefer?
I would not like to use as I said, I would not like to use conspiracy, that there is a conspiracy to foster him in Rivers State.
All right.
But permit me to say that he is in Rivers State to achieve aims and objectives of the powers that be. They have their own reasons for keeping him there. And from his antecedents, he has proven to be a man of violence. He has not been a man of peace. They say police is your friend. But most of the accusations that come against this man, he has not been a friend of the people of Rivers State.
Okay. All right, just to wrap that discourse over, what would be your expectations from probably, let's say, the Inspector General of Police? Haven't seen his officer's name in national dailies. Obviously, that is not doing good image for the Nigerian police. Would you expect him to summon him probably back to Abuja and do the needful? And for Rotimi Amechi, don't you think it's time for the president to call his man to order? Or you think he's doing the bidding of Mr. President in order to Rivers State?
I don't like name dropping.
Okay.
That is why, if you follow my analysis, I would not like to say Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari is helping foster what is happening in Rivers State. But following, when Mr. President came on board earlier in his administration, it was said about body language. So, you see, following his body language.
Is he still maintaining that body language you're talking about?
No, let's limit it to the Rivers matter.
Issue,
following his body language. There have been several accusations, and that of the Inspector General of Police too.
Okay.
There have been several accusations on this particular police officer. So why is he still in Rivers State? That should tell you that he's not working for the interests of Nigerians. So for every institution in our country, which the police is one, should be working for the interests of Nigerians. And when Nigerians say, we don't like this person, the government, democracy is for the people, by the people, and for the people. So when we are beginning to say, we don't want this particular person, right? The authorities should act so that we, the citizens, we have confidence in the system. Because we have been speaking and he has not been removed, we are losing confidence in the system, in those that we call our leaders. We are losing confidence in Mr. President, as you said. Why don't he call his man to order? He's also, permit me to also remind you that Mr. Rotimi Amechi is also the Director General of the Buhari Campaign Organization. Are you following me?
Yes, I'm following.
So, if he is the Director General, he shouldn't be known for impunity. Because most of his moves has shown that he's a man that doesn't respect the rule of law or human rights. It is unfortunate human lives were lost in Rivers State. Very, very unfortunate. It shouldn't happen.
On the part of the IGP, what are your expectations?
The IGP should act. There have been several accusations on this particular IGP.
But do you expect him to truly act if he couldn't obey the summons of the National Assembly? That Saraki and Dogara had to make a report.
You see, this particular IGP, I think, is the worst in the history of Nigeria. Mr. President was in Benue State, following the herdsmen crisis.
Okay.
He visited Benue State. And while in Benue, he was told that the IGP he summoned to Benue was not there. And he said he never knew. He was only hearing it for the first time.
Did you believe that? That he was just hearing for the first time?
If he said he was hearing for the first time, who am I to say he was not hearing for the first time?
But it's expected that he definitely, he gets reports every single day. So don't you think that him saying that he was just hearing that the IGP was not in Benue State as against the instruction he gave, do you think he was just trying to play a particular role for us to believe?
Mr. President tells me he's not aware. That is not the first time Mr. President has been saying he's not aware of many issues.
So could that tell us that Mr. President is technically removed from the happenings in the country? Or he technically gets removed from what he's not interested in?
You will not be far from the truth, right?
Okay.
That our leaders, not just Mr. President,
okay,
are removed from the everyday realities Nigerians face.
Okay.
Nigerians are faced with very hard realities, and our leaders are removed from them. Like one of the realities I would like to bring to our notice here is the reality of potholes on our roads. Do you know they are removed from it? Because they move in padded jeeps.
Okay.
And by the time they go on these potholes, these padded jeeps are so, the mechanisms are so, that are so, how do I put it now?
Efficient that they don't
they're so efficient, the shock absorbers are so good that they don't feel the impact. That if me and you, that if we are using public transport, the impact we will feel. So if we are shouting and complaining that our road, the road networks in Nigeria is bad or are bad, they say, why are they bad? Because they have a cushion. They ride in their padded vehicles. So it also reflects, if we say Mr. President is detached from the day-to-day realities of what Nigerians are going through, we are not far from the truth. And it's not supposed to be so. The president or our leaders need to be in touch. They need to be told the everyday realities Nigerians face. But most of our leaders have praise singers around them, people that tell them what they want to hear. So if Mr. President says the IGP was not in Benue and he was not aware, it would be that he was actually not aware. But did he act? Now that when the Benue people told him that he was not there, what actions were taken to caution him? Did they answer any query? As the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, you ordered one of your commanding officers and he didn't act and nothing was done about it. It goes a long way to show how our leaders are not committed to our country. And it's high time that stops.
Okay, so knowing that there's a high probability that he may not act, looking at, if I want to use your word, antecedent, looking at several events that have occurred and he has not acted. So there's a high, you're saying that there's a high probability that he may not act in the issue of River State, and there's a high probability that the IGP also may not do anything about the issue that just occurred in River State. And if that is exactly what plays out now in this case, what would you say the people should take up actions for themselves?
We are not, as a people, we are not supposed to. I don't understand the action you are asking the people to take.
No, probably try to use their, definitely if the president is not doing anything and the IGP is not doing anything, then people can maybe want to ask questions.
Yeah, we've been asking questions. As I said before, we've been on the End SARS campaign, and why that happened was because of the role the head of SARS in River State, what's his name again?
That's talking about Father K.
Yes. The role he was playing and how he was policing with impunity. So, our institutions need to be strengthened. Our institutions need to become responsive to the pulse of Nigerians. Our institutions should be able to feel the pulse of Nigerians and become really, really responsive. Right? We shouldn't be sending messages of impunity to the outside world or to the younger generation. We should have a responsible police that is able to protect the lives and citizens of Nigeria. And by the time Nigerians are saying, you are not acting for us, something needs to be done. So, our leaders, beginning from Mr. President downwards, including us here in the studio, we need to become responsive. We need to become more responsible to the people we are serving. Television Nigeria is here to service Nigerians, to give Nigerians an alternative, right? As your marketers need to go to the street, right? What do Nigerians want on the television? Give them what they want as much as you can. And that should be the same, all right, with our leaders.
All right, looking at all that's played out, is this giving us a very perfect picture of what we should expect come 2019 general elections?
You see, the APC as a ruling party should practice internal democracy, as I said before. But they are failing in that. We just mentioned the case of Rivers State that was quite pronounced. Have we cared to see what happened in Anambra?
That's the last election.
Not the last election, last Congress.
Congress, okay.
Where a serving minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was almost lynched.
Talking about
that is Dr. Chris Ngige. I think we all saw it on television. Was almost lynched. He had police around him, but they could not do anything. I saw one big man, I say big in size, not in character, wanting to beat him, and the police could not even stop a talk from beating a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, are we saying that is it different stroke for different persons?
If you look at that episode you mentioned in Anambra, there are two things to that. Would you say first, it means the people are not satisfied with what their leaders, like for instance, Ngige has been doing, and also for the security agents not being able to guard the minister. Is that not very shameful on the part of the security agency?
It goes a long way. It goes a long way to tell you what to expect in 2019. If the APC as a ruling party cannot conduct, permit me to use the word, common congresses, how can we believe, how can we trust them to be able to conduct general elections? Can this government be trusted to give us free and fair elections?
Should that question not be to INEC, or you think because they have an influence over INEC, so we should be looking at the APC government and saying we don't have the trust in them?
You see, INEC itself, we have a lot of issues with INEC. They've been coming out over time to deny very glaring accusations about several issues. Underage voting.
But a report was recently...
a report was recently released which they deny. They try to exonerate themselves.
Okay.
Right? But it is high time, as I said before, we begin to take responsibility in this country. Let heads of institutions, let institutions take responsibility to see how Nigeria will work. It's not denying underage voting. Will that help stop it? Or do you think denying it will amount to you taking blame? Or will amount to you looking as if you are not performing your duties? But I know at times, for you to heal yourself, you have to undergo surgery. And surgery can be very painful. You have to accept that, look, there's something wrong with me, so that you can undergo surgery. But at times, some persons have refused to accept that there is something wrong with them.
Would you say...
and they have died with their ailment. Right. If INEC should come out and accept that, look, there was some levels of underage voting, we are looking at it.
No, but the fact that they actually went ahead to do an investigation, came out with a report, if they tend to still deny the existence of it, do you think that is ahead of 2019 so that they can still replay
committee reports can even be doctored to favor a particular narrative they want to sell to Nigerians. So the issue is, Nigerians, following the 2015 general elections, Nigerians have become more enlightened. So when you come telling them stories, Nigerians are just laughing at you. Because we have become, over time, more politically enlightened.
The INEC boss actually come out to say that they will do everything in their power to make sure that this 2019 election is going to be free and fair and devoid of rigging. And also he's not saying that there will be no rigging, but it will be reduced to the barest minimum.
And that is, I would like to believe INEC as an institution, as an empire, I would like to believe them. I would like to believe that, right, they will conduct an election that is free and fair, that we show the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians, that no Nigerians will not be shortchanged. But if INEC cannot help conduct even a local government election, like what happened in Kano, because the argument is that they released their voter register to Kesek. And it was as if they were shifting the blame to Kesek. Right?
Which is not supposed to be.
Which is not supposed to be. INEC is in charge of voter registration. So INEC is a custodian of all our electoral processes. So if INEC is saying it was Kesek or something, you are the one that did voter registration. That is where it started from. How were underage children, how were they able to be registered to get their voter's card? How did that happen? So we have a lot of work to do in this country as a people, so that we will strengthen our institutions, so that our institutions will serve us. And if that is not done, the indices that are coming from several world organizations are not good indices for us as a country. Do you know the United Nations or the United States in 2015 said that some few years before 2000 that Nigeria will become a failed state, and to the glory of God Almighty, their predictions did not happen. But I want to tell you that with a whole lot of issues, particularly security issues, herdsmen killing, bandits here and there, Nigeria is becoming very fragile.
All right, on that very instructive and warning note, Ongu, who is a current affair analyst, an activist also, and put on top of it, is also an entrepreneur. We've been looking at what played out in Rivers State, where the APC Secretariat was attacked by said hoodlums, and also what played out in other states during the congresses. I want to say thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you,
All right, we'll be going for a quick break. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up this course.